And welcome back to my series, Meeting the Men of Code Red. Hello to all of you. And today we are talking to John Gallagher. John, are you sitting in an ambulance?
I am. This is one of the best spots for lighting that I could find. I'm on
What?
call today, so it's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it is, and I'm so thankful you could break away and talk to all of us. Meeting the Men of Code Red, and John Gallagher, a husband, a father, a Coast Guardsman, if I got that right. And right now he's on call on for a rescue with a paramedic. You work in an ambulance crew. Am I getting any of that right?
Yeah. So my full-time career is I'm active duty Coast Guard. I volunteer with the fire and rescue squads here in my local community here in Vermont.
Husband of for a long time, father of four awesome kids. Boy, you have got your plate full.
I do. That's probably the understatement of the year right there.
Yeah, yeah, you really
Thankfully,
do.
the kids take after their mother.
Yeah. Well, you were definitely maxed out. But thank you again for this time to talk to us. So I'm going to jump right in. John, take us back to a time because you know the code. You know you're married to Jade Gallagher, who is my personal assistant and a Code Red certified coach and the event planner with Code Red. So whether you and your kids like it or not, you are 100% immersed in the lifestyle. But that to you has been a really great thing, not only to, and I've already interviewed Jade about her psoriatic arthritis. That's a whole different podcast. You guys go back and watch the podcast about psoriatic arthritis. But John, this has completely transformed your life in so many different ways. So could you take us back to before Code Red and paint a picture for us and tell us not only about what you felt like not having your eating under control or just kind of paint a picture about what life was like before Code Red.
Sure. So before Code Red, I thought that I was completely comfortable sitting there at 253 pounds. I thought,
Oh.
that's fine. It's fine. It'll be okay. Um, and then every 6 months when I go to weigh in at work, which is a requirement for us, I barely pass by the skin of my teeth on the tape measurements. Um, it was a major source of stress for me, and I just couldn't do things well. Um, we'd be at a structure fire or something, and I'd need to climb to the top of the ladder truck to get up on a roof or whatever, and I'd be out of breath and you know completely nearly exhausted by the time I get up there and climb all the way up, and you know, and I've still got a lot of work to do once I get up there. So stamina and everything, it was. I thought that I was comfortable until I realized that I wasn't. Um, So then fast forward about 4.5 months, got down to between 195 and 200, which is where I'm comfortable. And that I realized then it took getting to my goal weight to realize that I was not okay at 253 pounds. 253-pound me could not fit into my bunker pants, my firefighting protective gear. I couldn't snap the front buckle, and then I had to go down a size once I got down to my goal weight because it was just too big. There was too much material. Um, Treating patients, climbing upstairs, hauling patients downstairs. It got to be so physically exhausting to just do the basic things that I needed to do in my daily life at 253 pounds. But getting down to goal weight, that's when I fully realized that, I lived so many years of my life thinking that this was okay, to live with constant back pain, constant knee pain, um, getting sick at just random times for random reasons. I, my immune system was taxed just trying to fight off all the crap that I was eating. Um, and it changed everything getting down to goal weight. And it wasn't like this long delay. It was, about a week or so in, the knee pain stopped because I wasn't eating things that caused me to have inflamed joints and pain, and that reduction in um, just the general fatigue that I felt. That was okay. All right, John, we can do this. we're already feeling better. Let's just keep going and see where it takes us. And
So
then about 4.5 months later, that was it.
how did you get to be 253?
um, Eating my emotions, stress eating. I was stationed on ships for the first 10 years of my career, and on ships, that right, wrong, or indifferent, it's food is morale when you're out there in the at least that's how it's treated. So when you're out there in the middle of the ocean and you get 3.5 meals a day, you just go down and you eat whatever's there, because what else are you going to do? And that was just a bad mentality that I got into. And then I went from my boot camp weight, which was 195 coming out of boot camp, and just over the years, it continued to grow and grow and grow until I was at 253, and at risk of falling out of compliance with our weight standards, at risk of losing my career. Um, and it finally came to a point, and I was like, my wife does this for a living. I can I can make this happen. The resources are there for me.
So you've done so many tours on ships that I don't remember that it's like they said you don't have to keep going on ships. So you've been on ships a lot, right?
Yeah, pretty much for the first 10 continuous years of my career. I've been in for 14 and a half years now. And for about 9 of the first 10 years, I was gone between 6 and 9 months every year, deployed on ships. And
So
then they
we've all
finally,
sorry about that.
no, my
We've
bad.
we've all seen the movies, like all the movies, and but because that's all I've got to go on. It's just the movies about being on a ship. And I mean, I gotta tell you, is it just me, or are those places that you walk in the ships, the doorways and the different things you climb that look pretty small?
They are. And it's a challenge, especially in some of the firefighting and damage control roles that I filled. It was a real challenge to squeeze me at 200 and 40, 50 pounds at the time. It was really difficult to squeeze me through that scuttle along with my air pack and everything else. Like, I'd have to stop and take everything off and lower it down and climb through. And it was, you know, going through this big jigsaw puzzle of trying to fit through these spaces, when if I just I just known about Code Red and watched what I ate and knew the things then that I know now, I wouldn't have had to do any of that. I just, oh, there's a scuttle. I'm just going to go through it. But yeah, there's a lot of small, tight spaces on ships.
So you're pretty young, aren't you? And Jade, like 33 or something, or
Yeah.
yeah, you're. So did it surprise you that you were already having joint pain, back pain, I don't know, headaches? That's what I feel when my weight gets too up, headaches and just feeling foggy brain. Did you just kind of like, well, this is just how it, did you just accept it? You didn't know until you felt better.
I just accepted that, that's what life is. That's how humans feel, and just accepted that that was what it was supposed to be. It's not like I was just sitting around being fat and lazy. I was going to the gym, I was working out, but I mean, you can't outrun your fork. It doesn't happen. Um, and so finding the nutrition side of what it really means to lose weight, is what kind of unlocked the key for me, or was the key to unlocking the lock for me.
And were you surprised when you realized that you could have steak and asparagus and eggs and bacon and did it go against what you were taught?
No, I've always been, well, yes and no. I grew up in the South, so sweet tea and biscuits. That's the thing. Fried chicken, fried everything. So I mean, the foods that we eat now, because our whole family is Code Red. Um, the foods that we eat now aren't vastly different from what we ate growing up. We just, instead of frying the chicken and breading it and all that, we'll just throw it on the smoker. Instead of having mashed potatoes or, you know, French fries or whatever on the side, we'll have grilled broccoli, or I do a smashed or a smashed Brussels sprouts. And it's just choosing what we eat a little more carefully, because I was never a huge sweets person. I actually don't even, I can't stand chocolate.
Mm.
It annoys me. But like cakes and biscuits and breads and things like that, those are my weak points. Rice, those were the things that I would, you give me a plate full of pasta with, some, and I would go nuts for it. So it wasn't necessarily the sweets. It was, for me, that was the big struggle. It was all the side dishes that went along with the food that I was supposed to eat, the steaks and the pulled pork and the ribs, the bacon. Those were all great things that I was already eating. I was just eating all this other junk with it. And that was the biggest struggle, was retraining of, okay, we're going to downsize our portions a little bit and just focus on the fat, the protein, and the veggie.
Now, your wife, Jade, as I mentioned earlier, struggled with absolutely horrific, crippling psoriatic arthritis with 4 kids. She was just guys. Again, I'll link it up in the below, and you guys can go back and listen to that. How has it affected your relationship? I mean, talk about being together through thick and thin. You guys have been through it, and now when you both got your eating under control, not even the weight, I mean, it is the weight just comes off naturally, but you guys get your eating under control, you get off the sugar and the crap carbs. How has that affected your relationship?
Oh gosh. There's a certain level of shame
Mm.
when you, even with your partner, your soulmate, because God knows she's mine and I'm hers. But even still, there's a certain level of shame when you have to take your clothes off in front of the love of your life, and that's what you see. You see 253-pound me. Um, Even when I thought I was okay, I was still not okay with that aspect of it. Um, and there's a lot of things that get better when you're thin. Um, a lot of things. And being able to go through this together and support each other and kind of cheer each other on and hold each other accountable, um, that's probably been a great thing, a really, really great thing for us. But there's no shame now when it's time to have our alone time. There's no, oh, I need to, sit in a certain way, or I need to cut the lights off. There's no shame involved in this anymore, because we're who we've always been, just without all the extra us that it was. Um, it's a lot better being thin than thick.
Mm. And you've got 4 kids, and they're off sugar. And I know that Jade does Try It Tuesday, and she tries new things with the kids. I'm sure that the relationship, with not just your relationship, but just the whole energy of the household is much more level and calm.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, 4 kids can be pretty wild and crazy, and then add add a whole bunch of sugar and carbs on top of that, and it can be a little hard to manage. But I mean, honestly, we've got great kids. They've handled the change over the past couple of years. They handled that really well. Of course, there were some struggles, especially early on, but um, we found that it was a lot easier to fight our battles with food in the grocery store aisles than it was to fight that battle in the pantry.
Mm.
So we just had a day of reckoning with our pantry and our refrigerator and freezer, and we just got rid of literally everything that wasn't on plan, and then we just didn't buy it anymore. If you don't buy it anymore, it's not in your house. If it's not in your house, you're not going to eat it. So we just made the conscious decision to only eat at home until we got our cravings and our mentality under control. We only eat at home. We only eat what we buy at the store, and we only buy things that are on plan, because that battle's a lot harder to fight in your pantry than it is in the grocery store.
Hmm. Well, I know that Jade and I have we're together a lot in person and talk every day. And I remember asking her, we were sitting in a restaurant, and I said, "What is it like taking a family of 6 out?" And she said, "Oh, Christy, it's so expensive, you know." And it's eating at home is so much more economical. Now, John, your weight fluctuates just like mine does. We go through things, we'll go up and down. It's just how life is, and that's not a problem on Code Red, you guys. We don't shame people for going up and down on our weight. That but we want to see people get it back under control. So what do you notice when your weight gets out of control and your eating kind of gets out of control and you get it back down? What is the first thing, not even the scale, but what is the first thing you notice that gets better?
So once I start coming back down, after I fluctuate, my sleep is better. That's
Mm.
the number one thing that I notice. I sleep better when I'm on plan and I'm eating right. Um, if I'm not, then I'm waking up every couple of hours at night. I sleep restlessly, and I just, when I wake up in the morning, I do not feel rested. That's probably the number one thing that affects me, is my sleep when I eat on plan versus off plan.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know that you mentioned you said my back hurt or, my joints hurt. And that probably, your just whole body feels better when you are back on plan versus off.
Yeah, it's hard to sleep when your back is aching. It's hard to sleep when you've got joint pain. And those are definitely things that um, that do take effect. But the thing that I lived with back and knee pain for so long that I think I've become somewhat desensitized to it. But the number one thing that I noticed, the first thing I noticed, um, is my sleep. And if I'm off plan, my sleep goes just downhill quick.
Yeah. What I didn't mention to you guys is that John runs our entire shipping department at Code Red. So not only does he have a family with 4 kids and a wife, he's full-time military, and he's volunteering on the rescue team, and then he's running the Code Red shipping. I mean, you have to be uh, on at the top of your game to be able to handle all this. I mean, I don't know how, and I know there are a lot of people listening that are burning the candle at both ends and are really stretched pretty thin. And so I, that would be something you could probably encourage people to do, is be like, if you want to do this, if you want to stretch yourself thin, that's fine. Just make sure that you are at your top level.
Yeah, absolutely. I say it all the time to people that I'm my friends and coworkers and everybody else. They're, why are you so busy all the time? Well, I have big dreams, and the rent is due daily on those dreams. So if I don't put the work in now and do things that other people aren't willing to do now, I'm not going to be able to live like other people will want to live when I get to retirement age.
Mm.
So I'm laying the groundwork now to when I'm ready to retire, I'm ready to retire. And I can, sneak off to the ranch and ride horses with my kids and grandkids and, enjoy my retirement years.
Mm.
But in order to do that, I've got to put the work in now. And if I'm not sleeping well because I'm eating crap, then am I doing the jobs that I need to do? Am I doing them effectively? Absolutely not. So if you're laying the groundwork now for your future, it's not just about financial success. It's about your health and wellness and the ability to um, sustain your energy throughout all the different tasks and jobs and things that you're doing and want to take care of. You could have all the money in the world, but if you don't have health, what do you have? You'll die a young rich person. I mean, what's the point in that? So
Yeah.
it's it all kind of goes together.
Why do you suppose men might be, I guess, scared to try Code Red?
Uh, Generally speaking, men don't like to be told what to do. Um, Nobody really does, but that's a really big problem for like the alpha type mentality. Um, the other part of it is convenience. If you're you know working construction or you're doing whatever job it is you do, and it's time to take a lunch break, you're going to go with wherever your coworkers go. You're gonna follow the crowd. And with Code Red, it does require you to be the salmon swimming the other way. Um, and that's difficult. It's difficult for a lot of men to admit that they're not comfortable going it on their own. They need to have that sense of community. They need to have other people around them supporting them. So even me, I thought I watched my wife go through her incredible weight loss journey, and I still wasn't 100% convinced myself.
Mm.
And then one of my best friends said, "Look, man, I'm on the verge of having to shell out $400 a month in copays for my heart medication that they're wanting to put me on because my cholesterol and my blood pressure and everything is through the roof." And I was like, "Well, I know a way we can fix this. So let's do it together, and we'll hold each other accountable." So even me, even with the amazing support system that I have just built into my home with my wife, it still took having another guy, a close friend that I could confide in and lean on. It still took that, even for me. I'm a coach's spouse. I mean, and that still wasn't enough for me. I needed that camaraderie with another guy.
That's a great point, and that's why I'm really trying to get this. And I hear that from another guy that we're going to do an interview with, Mark, and he says, "I just wish there were more guys on this program." And he's in my VIP program, and he said the same thing. So that's I'd like to be able to build a community of men. So, John, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for working so hard for Code Red and for stopping to take this. You're on call and you're sitting in the ambulance. You're taking the time to talk to us. What would you say to any man who is thinking about trying a 10-pound takedown challenge?
Do it. Just do it. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of money and some time. Put a little bit of effort into it, test the waters, and see the difference. Because a couple weeks in, you're going to see the difference. You're going to feel the difference, and then you'll keep going. Then that will be what convinces you. Nothing else will. So just do it.
Hmm. Guys, you heard from John. John, thank you again for this interview. You guys, I will see you on the next 10-pound takedown challenge.